Hello there. It's been a while. I have been sick for a few days. This is day 3. Feeling a little bit better, but I've been getting multiple signs that Loki wants me to get back to work. Um, so I'm kind of winging it tonight. Um, Started out with, post online. Again, people perpetuating this, UPG as if it was lore. Uh, which, again, I have no problem with UPG, but I'm going to tell you this is my UPG based on what I've read. I'm not going to put out UPG that does not come from the lore or that is about things that we weren't told or that is opposite of the lore without telling you that it is UPG. Um, But anyway, so that was the first thing that stirred me. And then there was questions about worship and what the lore says about that. And then there were multiple questions in the last day, just today, that kind of hit me funny with the whole people need to know the lore and people need to study. And then on top of that, I had multiple people, actually two within an hour or two of each other, requesting readings. So I took it as a sign. Loki wants me to get up, get back to work. So again, kind of winging it tonight. We are doing Faces of Loki as opposed to just one aspect. We're going to kind of do two, I believe. Hopefully that's all. But we're doing Scarlet and also the calm in the chaos. Okay. Mainly because it's storming outside and that was the first thing that popped in my head. So, here we go. So, Loki as Scarlet. To first understand that, you have to know the story of where the scars came from. So, in this story, this goes back to when the gods got all their gifts. Odin's spear and Thor's hammer, specifically that one. And so, just to kind of give you as quick as I can how that happened, for those who don't know. One way or another, Loki cut off Sif's hair while she was sleeping. Thor found out about it, and he threatened Loki and was going to break literally every bone in his body repeatedly if he didn't find some way to make up for it. He was just so angry, and Loki gets an idea and says he can go get her some new hair. So he goes to the dwarves, and he has them make beautiful gold hair that would literally grow from her scalp like natural hair. If it gets cut, it's gonna grow back. Um, just this gorgeous gold hair. Um, a lot of people think it has to do with harvest, maybe, but that's not the point of this topic. So we're moving forward there. So he goes and he gets this hair, and as he's walking by, he also sees these other two dwarves, um, Brock and his brother, and I'm sorry, I forgot his name at the moment. But, so Loki gets the idea of making all the gods happy by giving them presents and things. So he tells Brock and his brother that there is going to be a competition in Asgard to see which pair of dwarves made the best gifts. And the ones that they like the most, would be the winners. And, they ask, well, what do we get out of this? So Loki makes this little bargain with them and says, well, if, I don't think you can win. So if I'm right and you don't win, whatever their arrangement was. But the biggest point was, he said, if I'm wrong and you do win, you get my head. That made Brock very happy because, you know, he wanted Loki's head. Apparently they had some other issues with him in the past, apparently. But thing was, they have the contest, and Brock is making all the presents. He makes the forge. He has the fire going, and he tells his brother, don't stop. If you slow down even a little bit, it will mess up this thing I'm making, and that was the hammer. It was going to have a long handle. So the brother's pumping the fire, and Loki's realizing these presents are really great, and he's afraid he's going to lose the bet, which would also mean losing his head. So he goes and turns himself into a fly and starts pestering the brother who is pumping the fire. And finally, he bites him on the brow to where it actually bleeds. And the brother wipes it away real quick, but then keeps going. But that split second was all it took to make the handle on the hammer much shorter than intended. So then they're upset because they think they're going to lose. They get there, they have the competition. Now, they still win. Now he wants Loki's head. So Loki almost gets away, they capture him. He goes to cut off his head, and Loki says, I said you could have my head, I never said you can touch my neck. You can't have my neck. So Odin actually agreed and said, well, he's got a point. So they did agree that even though they couldn't have his head, he could still punish him in a way. So Brock wanted to sew his mouth shut to keep him from his tricky tongue running off again at the mouth. Odin allowed it. And that is the payment that he got for losing his bet. He got his mouth sewn shut. Which was kind of a punishment for his trickery. We don't know at what point he got it undone. We don't know when or how he got it undone, but we know it had been done, and we know later he's talking again. So that's how he's got the scars. That's how he's known for being Scarlet. So what we learn from Scarlet is sometimes it's better to keep our mouths shut. That's a given. You know, and Loki has other examples of, not that case, but in other stories, he's had the example of keeping his mouth shut when he needed to. You know, he had, for example, let's see, we're gonna get to the feast, but not yet. So, he had been captured at one point and put in a trunk. They wanted him to tell him who they were. You know, who are you? Where are you from? He kind of suspected it was Loki. Or at least someone who had access to Asgard. And this was, of course, Jotun. And Loki kept his mouth shut. For 3 months he was locked in the trunk because he refused to speak. So he comes out, and he does finally speak, and then there's a whole more story that comes from that. And again, he ends up fixing it, so, you know, whatever. Then, you know, we have the, you know, the story of Sif's hair to begin with. He kept his mouth shut as long as he could, but Thor figured out it was him trying to kill him. Kept his mouth shut. Now, again, my UPG here, or one of the things I wonder about, we know that Loki cut off her hair while she was sleeping. And Thor was away on one of his little troll-bashing hunting trips in the east. You know, so, what was Loki doing in there, in her room, while she slept, where he could cut off her hair to begin with? Maybe there's another reason that Thor was so mad he wanted to break his bones. And then, Loki sent him at the feast, when he is spewing everybody's secrets, everybody's things they did wrong that nobody talks about. Sif comes up and says, well, surely I'm the one person that you can't say anything wrong about. And that's when he says, well, I know you cheated on your husband, and I know you did it because it was me you did it with. So you take that with somehow being in her room while she slept to cut off her hair to begin with. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that is what happened. The Lord does not tell us. I'm saying it's a possibility. And so, again, he kept his mouth shut. No one knows why he was in there, or when, or how. They just know he cut her hair off when she was asleep. When he was in that trunk, he kept his mouth shut. And that wasn't just protecting himself. That was protecting Asgard. Because if he had said, yeah, I'm Loki, and I'm flying around wearing the Falcon suit, you know who that belongs to. So he was not going to tell them who he was or what was going on, because he was actually looking out for the other gods by doing that, because he knew if he told, they would come for them. They would find some way. So that was him protecting them. He kept his mouth shut. But then, with Scarlet, we have the keeping your mouth shut, but then we also have, at some point it comes undone. Again, we don't know how. We don't know why, how. We don't know if he cut it open, if he just screamed loud. We don't know. But, as that example, Loki does speak. He is truth speaker. He actually helped Asgard way more than people want to think he did, multiple times. But then, again, we have the feast. So, prime example of him knowing when to speak, when it is time to cut those ties back open and just let it out. You know, at the feast, he knew it was time to talk. He had kept his mouth shut all that time, knowing everybody's little secrets. They kept coming for him over one thing over and over, and that was it. And no, it was not bother. It was just the fact that he gave birth. You know, that was too womanly. It was okay that Odin lived as a woman and learned woman's magic. It was okay that Thor, you know, put on a dress pretending to be Freya to go get his hammer back, which was not Loki's idea. That was Heimdall's idea. Loki just went along to help, just in case. Again, he's helping. He certainly wasn't going to say anything until it was time to help. But again, there's knowing when to be quiet and when to speak. So when they're all yelling at him about this one thing over and over, he's like, that's okay, but you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did this. That's what got him bound. True, it got him bound, but that was the time for it to happen. He held it in, and then finally, no, now is the time, open up and speak. So, UPG here again, but for many of us in the locating community, and for me personally, this teaches us lesson of how we can have things we need that we need to get out, but it's not time yet. We have things that we hold back that need let out now. So, for me, the aspect of Loki, which is Scarlet, is one you can turn to and ask for guidance in, okay, this is going on. This is bothering me. Is it time to speak about it? Is it time to shut up and observe more before I do? Let Scarlet guide on when it is time to speak. So that's kind of the lesson we get from him. And then, again, because we do have storms blowing, and it made me think of it, it's not going to take too long because I'm going to have another segment that goes further into it. But the aspect of Loki that is calm inside the chaos. And this can go hand in hand with Scarlet. That's another reason I'm mentioning it. Because there are times when there is all this chaos and craziness and stress going on in our lives. Loki knows how to sit quiet and observe and think his way out. He thinks outside of the box quite a bit, but he has to observe and pay attention to what's going on first. You've got to formulate a plan. You can't formulate a plan if you haven't sat still and looked at all aspects. So for me, Loki is not just chaos. There are many times he is a helper to get through the chaos. He is the one that helps us sit, let it pass, let it go on, and just watch. And then make a game plan. And again, that can go hand in hand with Scarlet, because if there's chaos going on that, say, involves other people, but it's not quite time to say it yet because it'll blow up in your face if you do. So you've got Scarlet helping you keep it quiet while the calm in the storm watches and observes to learn more and figure out what needs to be done and if anything needs to be said. And if anything needs to be said, we go back to Scarlet. He cuts that string open and lets it out. And sometimes he doesn't need to talk. Sometimes that calm will guide you to just sit and let the storm pass. Sometimes he will guide you to see an exit you didn't know existed because you were so bogged down by everything going around. So he can do a little bit of both. Excuse me. So, as I was saying, sorry I had to pause and take a drink. I was getting a bit thirsty. Been talking for almost 20 minutes, sorry. So I'm shy. But, anyway, point being, Loki has a way of helping us sit and watch and observe and know, or learn, hopefully, what we need to do. And sometimes we get so clouded and bogged down with our mundane lives, even, that we can't entirely hear. We can't see the light at the end of the tunnel because we're too busy spinning around looking at the walls of the tunnel trying to find a way out. Or in this case, like I said, a storm. A storm's raging on, And everyone knows the eye of the storm. That's where it's nice and quiet. And Loki, as the calm in the chaos, he can sit and watch and wait and know when to speak and when to act. And sometimes he will find doors you did not know were there. Sometimes he will make you sit still while he becomes a storm that blows the door right open. But he can't do it if you're busy joining in the chaos, putting your hands on it. No, it sounds really simple. But sometimes the chaos stops faster if we stop trying to fix it. Oh, shit. Okay, now I know. Y'all, he's been telling me this for a while, and I'm just now like, oh, got it, yay, you know me. Sometimes he has me talk to you just so he can talk to me too. I truly believe that. So, as I was saying, we all know Loki is associated with chaos, and then really, as far as the lore goes, his association with Ragnarok probably has more to do with that than anything, because there's not a whole lot of, like, Loki literally just causing problems. We say there is, but there's not. He really didn't do that much, as far as just going out causing shit. He does come out at Ragnarok. He does cause earthquakes right now. While he is bound, he is shaking those chains, rattling the earth. And sometimes that also helps us, too. I mean, we can learn from every aspect of Loki, even the bound. Because we know he breaks free. He helps us to break free. That's, again, my personal UPG. My experience, the experience of others I've talked with. And so for me, as much as we associate him with chaos, I think one of the key factors we often miss is that a lot of times he's not causing the chaos. He is asking us to sit still so that he can help us find a way out of it. Sometimes he does cause chaos. Sometimes it's needed. It's needed to blow away things you no longer need. But at the same time, sometimes the chaos has nothing to do with him or you or anything you're doing. You're just stuck in it. And he needs you to sit and think and focus and trust him to guide you through. Let him be your calm. And he'll find those open doors and windows for you. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it hurts. You might get a little scrapes from the debris as the wind's blowing that door open. But you made it out. And so to me, that is what the calm is. Loki, for me, does the calm and focus and find your way through the chaos more often than he actually causes it. Because a lot of times the chaos in my life is either others caused it, or it's happening to prove a point to me. Either way, it doesn't get fixed until I take Loki's guidance while sitting still and listening and watching. And I am very guilty of this. I try to put my hands on everything. I want to fix it. I don't know about all of you, but for me personally, I've found that with me, since I took on this position I have with teaching and things of that nature, leading, I hate that term, but you know what I mean. And then becoming clergy as well. In my experience with that, it has been, I feel like I have to fix things. But I can fix things with others. I can help others. I can do, even magically speaking, I can do, I can do a lot to help others. I don't get so much to work for myself. I can do some things. It will work a little. But for me, I'm not supposed to take care of just myself. I very rarely have anything I do, especially magically speaking, that I try to do for myself in my life that works as fully as it would if I was working for others. Why I'm saying this is because through that I have learned that sometimes the chaos in my life is I just won't keep my hands off of it. I keep trying to get in there and try to fix it instead of just sitting and letting Loki guide me on how. And sometimes that's all it takes. I've had many times where I know it's funny and you'll know what I mean when I literally, tweaking the words of a famous song, go, Loki, take the wheel. And when I do that and actually let go, things tend to start getting better. But then if I try to get involved after that, it starts spinning again. So I'm still learning to find my balance too with that. But it almost always boils down to Scarlet and calm in the storm. I have to learn. Shut my mouth. Know when it's time to speak instead of holding it back. And I have to sit calm in it all to know when those times are. And I have to ask Loki for guidance. I will not try to figure that out on my own. No, I don't care what path or God you follow. Whatever higher power, something other than you, universe if you want. I truly believe sometimes we have to just let it go to them. Unfortunately, I was called by the one who does like to make things interesting when we do that, but he gets the job done. So it is what it is. So anyway, that's it for this episode of Faces of Loki. We might come back to the calm again later when we touch on the chaos one, because they go hand in hand too, that balance thing. You know, the Roker way. But for now, that's it. I'm probably going to end up doing another reading tonight or tomorrow as well, simply because, again, Loki's apparently pushing me to get back to work, and I need to. And I know that don't look it because, you know, he made me dress up a little bit before recording, because he gets what he wants. But yeah, I've been really sick, so I think this is his way of reminding me to get off my ass. So, hope y'all enjoyed. Sorry the footage is a little grainy. With the storm, I'm trying not to use my desktop and just use the laptop since I don't have to be plugged in on that. So I hope you have a good night or day, whatever time you're watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.